Alright everybody, Happy New Year. It is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 here at precisealgorithmtrading.com. And let's dive right in and take a look at what the markets did to us today. Here are our automated trading systems. We got 3 of them going, and this is the Dow futures, and that's 6 months worth of data. And looks like we had a little negative day today, all in. 5 trades, of which 4 were negative. We had one decent little trade in there, but is what it is. A little bit of more of a drawdown today. Looking to, actually, now that the volatility is picking up, I'm expecting things to turn around for us. So this is the Russell, and it has been worked on a little bit. Haven't really rounded out these curves, but this we are more of an upward slope and more of a 45-degree angle. So it's getting better, but it's not quite where I wanted it yet. And we had 3 negative trades in this one today. And then the NASDAQ pretty much just walked back and forth, and it had, this is also 6 months worth of data, and it had all these trades, but like I say, pretty much break even on the day, and maybe a little positive, but so that's where we're at with the automated trading. These things, when I say automated, they do. You turn them on, and they run themselves. All you have to do is make sure that they don't jump off the tracks, because it's kind of like a train going down the track. It's pretty stable, but it's not. I mean, it is a computer, so you have to keep an eye on it. Alright, let's go to Thinkorswim, and I've cleaned this up a little bit, really for review purposes, so I don't have as much on it. And I'm hoping this helps, really, especially some people I work with directly. So, anyways, here we are at the S&P 500 E-mini futures, and you can see they are down at the moment. The S&P, which is here, which is without the, I mean, it's the SPX, the actual index doesn't have volume tied to it, so you can see it fell today, and it's down a little over 0.5%. The industrials actually climbed today 25.5 points, which is remarkable. And but we're still up here in the same nosebleed section with a high of 37,790, and I believe that could be an all-time high. So we are, I'm going to flip this out to a monthly chart, and that is the highest high. Let's flip this over to as much time as we can get, and zoom this down a little bit. Yeah, that's the highest high that there is. So we're at a Dow all-time high, which is, when you listen to the pundits and all the noisemakers, all the powers that be, they say don't short the market right now, or you're better off to be long stocks. I would agree with that in principle, but we are also at a nosebleed, so a pullback here makes all the sense in the world. So don't lose sight of that. That doesn't mean that you just, I mean, you have to have a strategy. So you can be buy and hold and be fine, but well, we'll get into all the ins and outs. Let's look at the Russell today. Obviously, it's on a pullback layer lately. And what's it look like a little bit further out? So the 1272 extension we never did hit yet. That's 100% of where it was before there. And yeah. at some point here, I would expect really to connect with this 30 period moving average. Just if you look back in history and what it does, it comes down, connects to the 30 period moving average, or the 50, or the 60. Almost, I've heard it said it doesn't matter what moving average. To me, it does, because if you notice here, the 15 holds it pretty well. That's a 15 EMA, and the 30 holds it pretty well, and the 50 I almost guarantee is like right in there where that ledge of support is. And but anyways, it kind of gives you a good stable idea of what you're looking at. So for a trend, that's why I actually call this particular study a trend finder. So all right, that's the Russell. Here's the Dow again, but it's the futures. You can see a little bit of what's going on in the overnight action, and we are at the 1618 extension of the Fibonacci's. The Nasdaq is falling off the. It almost hit the 1618. I'm going to take this off just because I think it's noisy. And you can see again, it makes all the sense in the world to me that this thing will come down here, tag this 30 period moving average, possibly do another one of these, or even come down deeper than that to whatever would be 50% of the total overall move here, which is probably about there. In fact, let's go ahead and draw it from there to there. Yep, that's a 50% line. Which, if I flip this over to weekly, yeah, it's not a coincidence that all those 50% lines are adding up, or lining up there. Back to daily. Okay, so that's a Nasdaq. We are rolling over. Doesn't mean everything in the Nasdaq is rolling over. So let's look at one like Google. Google's actually showing market structure that this price moved higher over here, broke this market structure. Went from, this is obviously a lower low, and that's a lower high. That's a higher low, that's a lower high, that's a higher low, and that's a higher high. So I'm not saying this still can't pull back, because it can. In fact, my stop is right here, because if I get stopped out, I don't care. I will just get back in if we get a new buy signal. And if I get stopped out here, it's no big shakes. So, all right, let's flip back to, but again, if you look at Apple, Apple fell off a cliff today, and we put in a higher or a lower low. Now that also doesn't mean that this whole market structure right here, coming back to a 50% line, we did break structure and we started putting in higher highs and higher lows. This just hit this pivot right here, didn't pull back far enough, didn't pull back deep enough to really count it as a deep enough pullback for institutions to get in. So the institutions will drive this down, give themselves a buy signal, and then buy back in, and potentially take this thing off to new higher highs. Okay, which is, I was going to try to show you one that's worked out really well lately. There's one. Drove it down to here, pulled it back up to there. It broke structure, and now I'm actually looking for pullbacks to get out, and deeper pullbacks to get back in again. Anyways, that's kind of how that works. Amgen might be another one. Nice breakout higher. I'm actually expecting this one to pull back some. Anyways, that's kind of how that works. Transports, IYT. Also rolling over. I have puts on this one, not calls and not long stock. This is a bearish play, so don't be confused, especially if you're new at this. And I'm only expecting a move into the neighborhood of this territory here, or even maybe just right here. If I do that, that's a pretty good move, and that's just cash money. USO and oil. Oil was really popping early in the day, or before the market actually opened with this, and it was looking like it was going to be great. And I have a stop right there. If you look at the oil contract, so I might get stopped out. This doesn't have any reason. This is just lower highs and lower lows. It has not broken to the upside yet, except on the hourly chart where it did turn around. Now the question is, can we get a turnaround before we stop out? And that is a risk that I was just willing to take, and I bought down into this move. All right. And then gold, GLD. Gold looks like it's actually wanting to stop out. That's almost an equal high. That's a little bit of a break. I've got a stop set right here. I could have pulled it all the way to this pivot or this pivot, but I'm really wanting, I've also got an alert in case it breaks that pivot there, because I think that's pretty critical. So if it does that and I'm able to be in front of the markets, I will just probably close the position. But we won't know till tomorrow. And gold right now in the overnight is down a little bit, very little, 0.19%. And then silver. It's a little different. Let's go back to gold. Gold did break structure. We are on higher highs and higher lows here. Silver is similar in that we broke higher here and started putting in higher highs and higher lows. And this is the pullback. I'm not going to give it very much room. I think actually right to there. I could give it to there, but actually off of the hourly chart, if it doesn't hold that pivot, I'm just not willing to hold through. We really got the big move here. We should get some buying if it dips down into this zone down in here, and maybe it won't even make it that far, and it'll take off and go back up the other way. Again, if not, I'm not taking that bigger risk here. All right, I think that's enough for tonight. Let's go to stockcharts.com and look at the bullish percent indexes and see if we can see anything that's happening there. The industrials did not move today. Now they did go higher in the general market, so that almost isn't a surprise. The NYA is minus 1.47%. We do not have a point and figure buy signal here yet. We need an X up here, so we could get some catalyst to get us to really break out there, and that would be really interesting from here. The transports didn't move today. The NASDAQ down 1.7%, 1.74. The SPX down 2.72%. This thing has to get below 74, and it's at 78.8 right now. To get below 74, we'll put in a new column of O's. The SPX, oops, that's what I was just on. The OEX minus 2.47%. It has to also get below 74, and it's at 79. The NDX flipped over big, minus 11.36%. So this is what I'm talking about. This thing had to get 1, 2, 3. It had to get to 84 to roll over. It opened at 88. So it did that and then some. So, and I'm going to say we'll see what happens. I mean, the OEX or the NDX is where the NASDAQ 100 are. Makes sense that Apple fell today. Actually, if we flip back here, let's look at Google. Or we did look at Google. Let's look at Microsoft. Some of the other big cap stocks. So that is not a sell signal. Uh, I'm expecting Microsoft probably to just walk back and forth for a little bit here between this 361 level and that 384 level. If it breaks farther, it'll come back to these levels down here. But if it walks sideways here, it can break out from here. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And what's Tesla look like? TSLA. Higher highs and higher lows. And so what we got to be either watching for here is a potential buy signal or putting in a lower high and subsequently a possible lower low. So that's what we'd be watching for on that. And until next time, hope everybody's doing well. And again, Happy New Year.